The Acura brand in North America has, for a really long time, been the pinnacle of Honda's portfolio. If you want a luxury Honda that also has performance chops, you buy an Acura.
But, of course, like its parent company, Acura does not yet have an electric platform on which to build these high-performance electric vehicles. So, like that moment when you're on the quiz show and they ask you something you don't know and you phone a friend, that's what Acura did.
And like its parent company Honda, Acura reached out to Mary Bauer at GM and said, "Hey Mary, nice platform you've got there." But Acura also has a legacy to protect, a legacy of high performance, high class vehicles. And so today we are here to see if the range-topping Acura ZDX Type S all-wheel drive has what it takes. We want to know if it really is true to that legacy or if it's just GM in drag. As we said in the introduction, Acura doesn't currently have its own in-house EV. Honda's working on it. Acura will eventually inherit that platform. But for now, this is a GM-based platform. And we're starting the review in a really weird place for a really good reason. And that is, namely, if you're looking at B-roll of this car, you will notice that it's not of this car.
Didn't get footage of the white car. That's what they think. Ha!
Yeah, I mean, it is our B-roll, as usual, filmed in-house with a vehicle that we had. And then Acura heard that the subscription services had not been enabled and they asked for that car back, and we have this one, which is almost indistinguishable apart from being a completely different color with a different interior.
Yeah, so, and this is a really, look, we hate subscription services with a passion. I do everything I possibly can to replace anything that has subscription service functionality with an alternative. Obviously, we both have comma systems in our vehicles, partly for that reason, partly because our cars didn't come with kind of semi-autonomous driving features from the factory. But Acura's press person reached out, I think it was on the second or third day of the loan period, which is normally a week, and said, "Hey, I hope that you're really enjoying the Acura ZDX Type S. Let me know if you have any questions." And I was like, yeah, all of the features in this car that are subscription only are not activated. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, that's not right." Well, the car's going to have to go back to the press fleet operator, and they are going to have to, add those in. And it turns out that there was another ZDX on fleet, which is rare that they have two cars
of the same
type. And so late last week, after we'd filmed all the B-roll, you got a frantic text message from me while you were on training for your other job.
Yeah, it was not a great day. But yeah, they gave us this. But it's been really interesting because it's given us the chance to drive the vehicle without the subscription services enabled.
Right.
And experience that. And then experience it with the subscription services. And the experience is different.
Yeah, so let's talk about the services that are actually behind a paywall.
So your navigation, that is behind a paywall. The autonomous, semi-autonomous driving features, the equivalent to GM's Super Cruise,
Yeah.
that is behind a paywall, although it does obviously have lane keep assist and ADAS type stuff in that regard. It has the driver safety features, although I think we need to have a discussion about the difference between driver safety features, if they're advertising them as such, and Super Cruise. So those features were completely inaccessible.
And if you accidentally hit the button, it came up with a, hey, you need to subscribe to this, which is kind of in line with the feeling that we had with, I think it was the Honda Prologue had the same problem.
Yeah, with the Honda Prologue you got in and it quite often was like, hey, you haven't set up your subscription services, wouldn't you like to do that right now? You're like, no.
I just have this vision of some car manufacturer adding Clippy to the dashboard. I see you're trying to activate hands-free cruise control.
Oh no.
So, yes, if you are somebody who wants to buy this car, you should be cognizant of the fact that you're gonna have to have subscription services if you want to take advantage even of all of the features that this car has from the get-go. Although, to be clear, you can do Android Auto and Apple CarPlay with this. It's basically the same software stack that GM uses for its vehicles, because this is an Ultium Platform EV, and this is all it's basically skinned for Acura, just the same way that the other one was skinned for Honda. And interestingly, while GM keeps insisting, oh yes, we can't possibly add this, CarPlay and Android Auto, Honda and Acura both have it available.
I have some qualms about that when manufacturers are suggesting, although I'm not convinced by this, that hands-free cruise control provides improved safety. I think that lane keep assist and advanced braking, emergency braking, I think those definitely do. Hands-free cruise control, I'm still on the fence about. I can accept that truly autonomous vehicles may well be safer. I know that Waymo have provided some evidence of that. This halfway house, I'm always a little suspect of, because, to be honest, my experience of this is that it performs absolutely fine a lot of the time and then suddenly goes, nope, I'm not doing this.
And it's just like Blue Cruise, just like even Commerce system. You have to keep your eyes up and ready to take over. This car actually vibrates your bum if it needs you to take over, which is...
I think that's good.
It's useful. You've got this lovely telltale light here that is green when it's operating fully, but then it's blue if you need to take over.
Or red if it's disengaging that moment.
You absolutely need to take over now, yeah. So it's a different colour LED. I find that this technology, and bear in mind that I have this in my F-150 Lightning, it's Blue Cruise, but it operates in a very similar way. It actually reduces driver fatigue. I think that it can be abused like every other system out there, and there are lots of people who have figured out ways to hack these systems, but as long as you use it properly, it can actually... That was a good example there.
Yeah, it got
halfway across
and decided not to, probably because it couldn't see a vehicle ahead, except there was a vehicle merging.
And it absolutely lost the plot.
And I've had multiple instances. I've had this car much longer than we normally have the car with me, so I've had a lot more time to drive it, and I've had more time where I've been able to drive it using the semi-autonomous systems. And it does make some, frankly, very strange decisions. And to be clear, most of the time it's very good. Most of the time it's pretty consistent. But sometimes it will try and change lane while there is a car next to you, and it won't actually initiate the lane change, but it will turn on the turn signal. It will be with a car in my blind spot, but where it is warning me that there is a car, turns on the turn signal, and then sits there for a bit and then goes, actually, I can't do that, there's a car there. And that I found very strange. It also does some very weird lane changes where it changes lane and then changes back for no obvious reason. And there are a couple of corners that I have near me where it just disengages, saying that the corner is too sharp, which I like that it does that, but I feel that it should be able to warn you more ahead of time, rather than as you're approaching the corner, it suddenly says, oh, hey, there's a sharp corner here.
I mean, look, like all of these technologies, they are supposed to be assistive rather than take over, and that's why I always have problems with technology that don't let you, adjust the car's position when you notice that it needs to happen. I find that hands-free systems like this reduce my fatigue on long-distance trips, but I do find that I tend not to use them in situations like this. We're on local roads, it's a 2-lane highway, it's got a fairly low speed limit, and there's a lot of cars around. I've got it on right now because I'm demonstrating it, but very often if I was driving this and the cameras weren't rolling, I'd just do it, and the car has just decided right now that it needs to overtake. I didn't initiate that, but then it's just disengaged.
Yeah.
So it decided to overtake. The car behind me, the Jaguar behind me, went to overtake as well, and then my system disengaged halfway through that maneuver. Not good, Acura, or in fact GM for that. So let's turn this back off. So let's talk about the interior seating arrangement here. So obviously Blazer Equinox feel, right? This is basically a Blazer.
That is what I understand, although I actually haven't been in a Blazer yet.
So this is basically a Blazer. The amount of adjustment though that you get on this front seat does give me Honda Acura vibes. So you've got height adjustability, you've got lumbar support, you've got side cushion support. So if you want the seat to squeeze you so you can get a little bit more sporty in the corners, you can set that up. It's all adjustable down by your left thigh if you are the driver, and obviously there's some on the passenger side on the other side. You can also adjust it here on the center screen. That's great. It's not too bad. The steering wheel is adjustable, electronically adjustable, but I feel that it's lacking in the amount of adjustment that I would like. I found in order to get a good feel driving this, I need to sit lower than I would like. Like, I haven't been able to find the perfect seating position in this car, and that has irked me somewhat. But here's the thing, with all of that adjustment, it feels like some of the comfort has been taken away from the seat. I don't want to get all Princess and Pea on you, but the more adjustments a seat has, the less comfortable I generally find it.
It is actually funny because, we both come from driving Morris Minors, which have 3 positions on their seat. Yes. If you have the fancy newest version, you can have 3 positions, or you can unbolt the seat for another 3. And that's it. Like, there's no rake adjustment, there's no lumbar adjustment, there's no lumbar support. Your lumbar support is the cushion that you pulled off your sofa. It's interesting, and I agree. I think that when we have more adjustment, it does end up being one of those, it's just not quite perfect, and if I screw with it a bit more, maybe it will be, and it never quite gets there. I do think these are very comfortable seats. They're a little firm, but this car has 612 miles on it. We've had it basically since brand new. I actually had both of them basically since brand new. You had to bed in the brakes on the other one. So
it does it's definitely got the new car vibe and the new car feel, and I don't know how this material and this stitching will hold up. I mean, the stitching's decent. It looks high enough quality. But, look, if I'm looking for a performance car vibe, this is not the interior that I'm looking for.
I hesitate to say this because
it's got Love Hotel vibes in this red.
It's got Love Hotel, and it sort of reminds me of the 80s cars that you see in movies from the era. You've got this sort of red, black kind of interior. And it's just a particular shade of red. And I'm sorry.
No, I am going to punch it when the lights change.
Oh, are you in sport mode though?
I'm not in sport mode.
Okay.
I'm just going to punch it in regular mode. So that was flat to the floor, and that's 40. So around town, if you're in a regular mode, it actually behaves itself like a normal car. But if you punch it now, and I'm doing 30.
Okay.
Then that's 60. It gets you. It's a very different vibe between the drive modes. Should we talk about the drive modes for a bit?
It has a good selection of drive modes.
Yep.
It's got snow, it's got sport, it's got make Kate incredibly nauseous mode, which is the one that we're in right now, which is sport. You've also got your individual tunable one where you can futz with all the settings. I mean, you can futz with all the settings individually.
Right.
But you can set one up to be the way you want it. So changes the driver feel in the steering wheel and also the throttle position sensing. So.
And in this position, you know, it in the sport mode, it does feel extra. Mm-hmm. It does feel like an Acura in sport mode. But the issue that we have with that is the weight.
Yeah. Oh,
So
you would bring the weight into it. This car weighs a lot.
It does. So how much does your car weigh? Can you remember?
Not off the top of my head.
So I did some research into this because it just blew my mind. Your car weighs about 3,800 US pounds. The Bolt that is behind us weighs about 3,500 pounds.
Yeah.
How much does this weigh? The Type S.
Well, let's see. It's a slightly larger vehicle. It's actually quite a lot larger. It's a bit bigger.
And it shares a platform with vehicles like the Hummer and the Blazer and the Equinox and the Silverado and all of those.
I don't know, maybe 5,000 pounds? 6,000.
6,050 pounds.
How does that say compared to the weight of an F-150 Lightning?
So if you have the base level F-150 Lightning, that's the Pro with the standard range pack, it tips the scales at 6,010, I believe, pounds. So if you have an entry-level F-150 Lightning, which is a vehicle which I should remind you has more power and is more utilitarian, it actually weighs less than this.
To be fair though, this does have larger wheels.
How many horses has it got?
This one has 499 horses or 372 kilowatts. If you go for just the plain all-wheel drive, you lose 9 horsepower.
9 horsepower.
9 horsepower.
9 horsepower.
And if you go for the rear-wheel drive, then you lose about 50. You get down to 358 horsepower or 267 kilowatts. Which sounds like a lot.
It does sound like an awful lot, but then would you like to have a bit of a drive, Kate?
Yeah, why not? Not really. In all honesty, I find this a very boring vehicle to drive, but I will pretend for the cameras that I won't want to drive it just this once.
I can infer from that hissing noise that you're not a fan of the suspension of this car.
This is normal mode, okay? In sport mode, it is much tighter, I suppose. It's certainly a lot firmer and a bit lower.
I mean, if you put this in LA or in Phoenix or, you know, another major metropolis where this car is going to take you to and from the office, and then maybe at the weekend go and see the kids' grandparents, this would actually be a really decent car.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's suited for that kind of driving. The problem is that they've stuck a Type S badge on it. And the moment you stick a Type S badge on it, I want it to be fun in the twisties. I want it to be fun to drive. And it doesn't hit that because it's heavy. It's so heavy.
I keep coming back to the fact that this is an all-wheel drive car and it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't have that sure-footedness that we've come to expect from all-wheel drive EVs. Driving around here, there are a lot of cars like the Toyota RAV4 and the Lexus variants as well. And I can't help but wonder if something like the Toyota Busy, it's no longer called the Busy 4 because it's just the Busy, and the new Toyota Busy Woodland, the Subaru Sontaran, and also the Lexus, the RZ350, 400, whatever, would be better suited on this road because they have much more sure-footedness.
Yeah, I mean, if you can see from, if we happen to be using the forward-facing camera at any point, you will see I am driving this road with a degree of caution that would not normally apply to a two-lane road.
Yeah, you're not using your usual alacrity.
No, and that is because this vehicle, yeah, it has all-wheel drive, and it does. It has not so far let me down in going where I have pointed it. It just doesn't always feel like it will. And it very much feels like it's reliant on having a massive amount of rubber to stick you to the road and a lot of gubbins up front doing work to make you stick to the road, rather than having the chassis or the suspension kind of chops to actually do that without it. It feels like it's doing it because it has to, because it's being made to, and it doesn't it does not feel like it's gonna do it if you really push it.
And some of that might be those massive 22-inch wheels. I want to really hammer that down, because if we don't, someone will go, well, of course it feels bad because it's on big wheels. And I would love to try this on smaller wheels, like 20s or maybe 18s, and I think it would be a much nicer experience. But when it's safe, we're going to do an emergency stop because I want to demonstrate how possible this is to get squirreled. We're doing 40. When you feel safe, plant your feet and we'll see what happens.
Hang on, I'll try and find a straight a bit.
Yeah.
How about here? All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Quite a bump.
It stops. Let's be fair.
It does.
It stopped with a reasonable amount of alacrity, but it also did not want to stay in a straight line.
And it squirreled at the back.
It squirreled at the back. The front end was kind of a little bit all over the shop because it's suddenly loaded with 6,000 pounds of weight. Mm-hmm. And also you get to experience what you experience in a minor form at every stoplight, which is that it goes
Yes, yeah. I also want to highlight the fact that when you go over a bump in the road, as we've got coming up here, if the suspension unloads in just the wrong place, which it seems to do an awful lot, you don't have much control.
No.
And again, I think that is the side effect of the vehicle's weight and its suspension. But look, it does corners. This is a pretty tight corner here. It holds in. It allows you to dial it in. But I got that twinge of nausea as we went round the corner.
It's just, oh yeah, it's just not quite right.
Our DP drove this and they said that it reminded them a little bit of the Aria, and they predicted that you would feel like you did after you'd been in the Aria for a while.
Yeah, it does. It gives me nausea, and I wasn't sure if it was just me. And this is actually interesting because we sometimes share little snippets of what we're whining about or what we really like about a car, but we mostly try and keep our opinions to ourselves until we get in front of the cameras, so it's a genuine conversation. And it's funny that all the things that I was like, God, this is not great, are things that you and RTP had noticed. And also, to let you into a secret, spoken to some other people who are in the industry,
who will remain anonymous,
who are very anonymous.
Yeah.
And they said the same things.
Well, they asked what you were driving, and you told them, and they were like, "Who?"
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, you're gonna hate that." I'm like, I don't hate it though. I'm super ambivalent about it.
There is something really positive I want to say about it. Look, it holds my water bottle. This is a big Hydrospark flask, and it fits, which is unusual.
Can you take it out of there for a second? Yeah, see, we have differing opinions on this because I have this bottle and the only way to get it to hold it is to put it at 45 degrees because otherwise it falls out when I go around corners.
You didn't like the fact that this mirror has a camera that when you flip it up to view the camera,
that's fine. I can see,
struggle to see it?
Can't see.
It's just the way that tech is designed.
I mean, it's just, it could be a little switch because, yes, I can see on the camera. Now I see the sunroof. Amazing. That's really useful.
I don't use those rear view cameras very often because you have to change your field of view. And interestingly, someone said to me once that I was clearly, not thinking straight because they preferred the rear view camera and it's much clearer and you can see out. And I just went, I live in the country and the rear view camera always gets filthy. And I don't believe that one has a washer jet.
It does not. I tested it, no washer jet. Very annoying when I got to work and it was filthy. My minorest bugbear, it reminds me of a Vauxhall Viva when I look out of the front. The three peaks, they're just arranged exactly perfectly, and my experience with a Vauxhall Viva, not good.
No. So, I mean, look, I think there are some good points. The interior is reasonably well appointed. It's quiet, but it's not a performance car. There's a long pause. And look, we've just driven the ID Buzz.
I know, and they're
at the opposite ends of the spectrum of what you could buy for about the same amount of money.
Yeah, and I think they're very much not for the same people. But this... I know, this is a thing that you shouldn't really say, but it just lacks soul.
It doesn't make me think, yeah.
I mean, if you like Acura and you want an EV from Acura, this is your option at the moment.
Yep.
And it's not, in many regards, a bad choice.
No, I mean, it's an adequate car. It's fine. And we're not, like, turning fine into an acronym. It is a fine, adequate car. But here's my beef. My wife used to own an Integra. Right? This is not really a car that I feel is in the spirit of the Acuras of the 80s, 90s. I know Acura has kind of moved towards bigger, beefier SUVs, and if you take Acura's current lineup, which is luxury kid-carrying SUVs, this actually does fit the bill quite well. There's enough space in the rear for child seats. There's enough space in there for your teenagers, for even adults in the rear. It's got an adequate sized boot. It doesn't have a front trunk.
No, and we know why. Because it has massive wheels.
Yeah, these are 22-inch wheels. Now, if you go for the standard ZDX, you get 20-inch wheels. But I know we've made a couple of connections to the F-150 Lightning here. But let's talk about the fact that the F-150 Lightning in its base trim comes with 18-inch wheels. If you get the Lariat, which is what I have, it has 20-inch wheels. The only F-150 Lightning that comes with 22-inch wheels, the same size as this, is the Platinum. This car would be much better on smaller wheels, taller rubber, and focused a little less on the bling and a little more on the zing.
Yeah, it would. And I know I'm totally an Isagonis fangirl. I know I am. But smaller wheels give you more space in the cabin.
Right.
And it's not that this car lacks for space in the cabin. It's just that you have this in front and this taken up with wheel, which means you get no frunk and you have all this space that's being used for these giant wheels that also screw your efficiency, that mean you have to have a giant battery pack, which makes the car heavier, which it just, all these spiral one after the other.
I mean, on paper, this has a range of over 300 miles. Real world, I haven't seen anywhere close to 300 miles. 260, maybe 270, fine.
Yeah.
It's fine, it's adequate, it's fine. The problem is the marketplace at this price point for this kind of sized EV is kind of full right now. There are lots of other alternatives.
Yeah, there isn't much else in the marketplace. Largish SUVs is where it's at least in the US.
And that brings me to this question. If this car, at the price point it is, bear in mind, as I said, it was about the same price point as the ID Buzz in its higher end. I know which one I'd choose. But does this earn itself the badge, or is it just badge engineering?
I don't think you should ask me that, because you know what my answer is?
Well, go on.
No.
All right, why?
Because it doesn't make me want to drive it.
Right.
A Type S should make me want to drive it. This is the first vehicle I've driven with performance chops, or at least a performance badge, where I've taken it out on the twisties, and rather than getting through them at a rapid pace and desiring more,
Yeah.
I got kind of halfway through, felt a bit ill from the
Right.
roll and the way it handles and
The £6,000 weight.
6,000 pounds of weight, and went, actually I'm going to stick it back in normal mode and drive it gently, and I'm kind of done.
And it kind of pitches up and down. Even though it's got the all-wheel drive, there is a little bit of fore and aft when you put your foot down.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to point out here is that the brakes are not really Type S material.
No.
They're adequate. But again, they're adequate. They're not exciting. They're not... A proper sport-tuned car should make you feel like you are superhuman.
It should be part of you.
The EV6 GT, it felt like the car knew what I wanted before I told it what I wanted.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between a motorbike that you can ride for a day or a motorbike that you can take out in any conditions, right? It's got to feel like it's an extension of your body, like it's an extension, like it's telling you, yes, I can. Not, are you sure that's a wise decision? The AMG EQE made me feel like I could do anything. Mercedes-Benz has really nailed in that planted, sure-footed feel. The EV6 GT, and to some extent even the Ioniq 5N, which I didn't like as much as the EV6 GT, had that same feel. The EV9, even the EV9 felt more planted than this. And that wasn't even the GT badge.
I think this is a vehicle that competes against other luxury SUVs that people aren't actually going to drive in the manner that the badge suggests.
No, this is badge engineering for, look at me, I have money, I've got the expensive model.
Yeah.
And it's also not a conquest car for Acura. Acura is not going to win customers with this car.
I think the only customers that this car will win over are people who might want the GM version but would like to have CarPlay or Android Auto and not be sued.
Or the people who want to have nicer interior.
Yeah.
who maybe don't want to have to deal with a local GM dealer because the local Honda or Acura one has got a better reputation.
Yeah.
This is literally a way that people badge engineer their service and after-sales experience. But there's nothing in this car that makes me go, if someone says to me, hey, what car should I buy? I'm not going to say go out and buy the Acura ZDX Type S.
Not unless they say they're looking at a Blazer.
I would still point people towards the EV9.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Because the EV9 is not far off in terms of specs and size. It's got better fast charging. It's got a more practical interior. Yes, air suspension, clever, good, fine. But they've taken a platform and made it heavier. They've taken a platform that was okay. And they've basically put in all the tech they could possibly cram in, and you feel it at every turn, and I bet you feel it in your wallet too. I'm sorry, Acura. I might never get a car again from you, but good idea, but it's definitely not S tier. Maybe a C. Thanks for joining us today, and if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them in our Discord chat room, on our Patreon page down below, or you can reach out to us on Mastodon or Blue Sky. Thanks to the amazing list of people scrolling by on your screen right now. They're part of the massive community of supporters who make this channel possible, helping us through Patreon and YouTube, covering our bills, paying our team, and helping us to remain 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the link below. We've got options available across a wide range of different price points, starting from $1.50 US a month. A massive welcome to our newest supporters: Roshilu, Lynn, Mogren, Yalafli, Abigail, Jason Hellman, Mike, Rastas, Jay, Jim Boyer, Trebor, Steffel HB, Calvin Klein, Albedardo Conessa, John Snyder, Scott Matheson, Mia Hartman, Philip Paul, Randolph Lee, Simon Cotell, Stephen Meadows, BGB Thauben, Kristen Ramison, James Holyroad, Robin Holston, MK Duffer, S.A. Gimpson, Chip Chandler, Jeff Harrop, Nye Mister, Robert Betancourt, Jason Broder, Byron Newton, and Mark. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member for your moment of fame, and you can even gift membership to someone else. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll also find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations, and we even have an old-fashioned PO box you can reach us at for the time being, address listed below. You'll also find links to our swag store, and if you are someone who has to shop on Amazon, please consider using our affiliate link so we get the commission, not Jeff Bezos. So we can continue to focus on making our content even better and reduce burnout. We're a little freer with our release days this year, but plan on dropping new content every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday on the main channel, plus something on Sunday over on Transport Evolved Take 2. If you want more, the algorithm that hates us thinks you should be watching this video, but this one is one we think you should check out. Be awesome, be kind, be intentional, and don't forget to resist. Keep evolving!